Hello everyone and welcome to the Nutmeg Stitcher. My name is Rachel and I live in Connecticut, hence the name the Nutmeg Stitcher. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you found me. I actually had a YouTube channel many years ago, probably 10 or 11 years ago, doing some stitching under a different handle, and life kind of got in the way. My kids were young at the time, and you get busy doing life stuff, and so let that go. But recently my kids are grown, they're out of the house, I have a little bit more time, so I've kind of gotten that bug back and decided to reinvent my channel, and here we are. And so thank you all for joining today. What I'd like to do today and then in the next upcoming videos is kind of introduce you to myself, how I stitch, what I stitch, and then start to delve into my WIPs. We're all here for a good WIP parade in the beginning of the year, and let me tell you, I have lots of WIPs. So my plan for today is kind of give you an idea of my stitching rotation, how I choose what I'm stitching, and then I'm going to start my WIP parade with my January pulls, what I have pulled to stitch this month, and go through those. And then in upcoming videos, I will dive a little bit deeper into my stash. So a little bit about kind of how I stitch. I am definitely a process stitcher. I have been stitching for many years. I started stitching when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I would say. Doing mostly kits, kind of went in spurts and then stopped for a long period of time and then restarted and have really been stitching continuously, I would say, for the last 15 to 20 years. And I run the gamut of the types of things that I stitch, but I am definitely in it for the stitching. And while I do love those finishes, they aren't necessarily the most important part of the process to me. And over the last couple of years, I am very much a collector, and I'm sure, like a lot of you, we love looking at patterns and finding patterns and then purchasing the patterns and trying to figure out what we're going to do with those patterns. Well, being one of those people over the years, I have collected a large number of patterns, both paper and virtual, and as well as magazines. I subscribed to magazines for many years, and while I don't now, I still have a nice pile of them sitting that I love paging through and looking through and getting new ideas all over again. So what I decided to do last year was, rather than have all of those patterns sitting in a binder or sitting in an online file somewhere, never seeing the light of day, I wanted to stitch my stash. And even if that meant that my WIP pile continued to grow, that was okay, because those patterns were getting the love that they deserved, and they were fulfilling the purpose for which they were bought, and that was to be stitched. So what I have incorporated into my stitching rotation is 3 starts a month. And let me go through and kind of tell you how I choose what I'm going to be stitching on each month. So I need some type of order in my otherwise chaotic stitching adventure. And so what I use is the Tiny Decisions wheel, and it's just a kind of a random generator tool. I think a lot of folks have used that one in particular, but there's a number of them out there. And so I use that to make decisions for me, because I'm also very bad at making decisions. So the first thing that I do each month is my WIP Go polls. So I think everybody watching this probably knows what WIP Go is, but if you don't, it is a bingo type of game that is organized and run by Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. And she just has been doing such a fabulous job of running this for a lot of years, a great number of years, and it really does help me to bring some serious stitching to at least 2 pieces a month. So I use my Tiny Decisions wheel to pull 25 WIPs. I assign them a number on my WIP Go board, and then each one of those WIPs, when they're called, gets 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, I don't necessarily put a stitch count to it or a particular goal. I do what I can in those 2 weeks. So sometimes they'll get a real lot of love, sometimes not as much, but I do always at least try to do a minimum of 500 stitches over the course of those 2 weeks in my WIP Go pulls. So I'll always have 2 WIP Go pieces that I'm working on in any given month. Then I also want to, going back to those patterns that I have, I do 3 new starts each month. And I started this last year in January and continuing it forward into this year. And those 3 starts consist of, the first is a paper pattern. So that paper pattern can either be like an actual pattern or it can be from a magazine. So I split up my Tiny Decisions wheel for my new paper starts, 6 from magazines and 6 from actual patterns that I have in my catalog. So that's one new start. The second new start is a kit start. So over the course of all of these years, I have accumulated a great number of kits that either I purchased or have been gifted to me. So I have a big Rubbermaid tub of kits that I put into my decision wheel and pick 12 of those, one for each month. So I'll have a paper new start, a kit new start, and then over the course of the years with the advent of virtual stores and online capabilities, my online virtual patterns catalog has increased substantially. So I also do a virtual new start as well. So I have my 2 WIP Go pieces, my 3 new starts, and then I take the rest of my WIPs and I put them in my Tiny Decision wheel. I divide that number by 12, and whatever that number is, my Tiny Decision wheel pulls for that month. So typically in total, with the 2 WIP Goes, 3 new starts, and my remaining WIPs, I have about 16-ish WIPs on the go in any given month. And then I also, to give some of those kits kind of a little bit of extra love, a lot of them are older kits, and I kind of have been sitting for a while, and I want to kind of give them a little bit more of a chance of getting done, I guess. I am doing temperature stitching. So again, I think this is somewhat common in our floss world here, but what that means is that I have picked 10 kit WIPs that not me, I didn't pick them. My Tiny Decision wheel picked them for me. But each one of those is assigned a number, 0 to 9. I use the called for high temperature of each day, and to that last number of that high temperature, I stitch 100 stitches on that assigned number. So what I tend to do, if I'm being honest, is each Sunday I look at the forecasted temps. I assign how many stitches I need to do to each one of my assigned WIPs, and I usually do them in blocks. So I'll say, okay, Sunday I'm just going to kick out all of those, or I'll do Tuesday, I'll do 2 of them. And, it's using the forecasted number, so it might not be particularly accurate, but accurate enough. And the goal of it is to get some stitches done on these older WIPs. So I'm doing that along with those 16 that I pulled. And then the last piece of my monthly rotation is that I try to do a monthly series each month. And sometimes that is a WIP. Sometimes it is a new start. So for instance, for this year, I've decided I'm doing monthly flowers for each month, and some of those flowers have already been started and some haven't. So for January, I hadn't started the January flower yet, so that will be a new start for January. So I'll have 4 new starts this month. And then also this year, at the end of the year, I have the Country Cottage Needleworks monthly cottages, and I have completed January through June of those, but I'm going to add July through December at the end of the month, so those will be added to my monthly rotations then as well. Whew. All right, so we're at 9 minutes already, and I'm just kind of getting through kind of my process and how I pick the things that I pick. I think that's everything. I will say kind of how I organize myself is that I have a master set of floss, and then each month, usually on the first of the month or the last day of the month previous, I do my switchover. So I get rid of all of those WIPs that were for the month before. I put away all my floss that was associated with them, and I go through my new WIPs. If I'm doing a new start, I pick my fabric. If I'm going to do fancy floss, I pick my floss, and then I sort. I put away. I have these little kind of containers that have my floss away bags, and so I'll go through each WIP that I have and pull the appropriate floss, and then for all of my WIPs over the course of that month, they are contained in, usually I can use 2 of these, and it's enough for all of the floss that I need, and that way I can just pull as I go. And I don't need to worry about, going back and forth from my master set or not. So that's just what works for me. And that's how I've been kind of doing it for the last year or so. And I think I'm into a groove now. All right. So that's a little bit about me and how I stitch. Let's get into what I'm stitching. And like I said, for today, or for this video at least, I'm just going to do my January basket, and then because I just want to see time-wise what this is going to look like and how it's going to upload, if it's going to upload okay or not. So these aren't going to be in any particular order other than that they were pulled for January. I don't iron anything, and you are going to hear zippering. Sometimes I have bags, sometimes I have kind of plastic bags, so it varies. I don't always have everything written down in terms of fabric. Depends on when I started. A lot of these are pretty old, so I wasn't really recording stuff. This bag was one when I decided that I was going to start making bags. I made this, and don't ever look too closely at any of my corners. I will never make a living selling bags, but it was a fun kind of side project for a while. So anyway, my first WIP here is Quotes to Live By, and this was an Emma Congdon. It was actually a free sal that she did. It was a kind of mental health awareness sal that she had done many years ago, and I had picked it up then, and I actually have my fabric is Bashful Lugana 32 count by Picture This Plus, and I've gotten some done on this, but I have a long way to go, so I'm just going to scroll up. So if anyone's familiar with Emma's work, it usually a lot of lettering, and kind of each block says something different. So the first, you can see the top frame, Quotes to Live By, and then we have the next few quotes are listed here, and I've gotten down to the bottom quote. Still working on the frame, still obviously filling in a few of these blocks. So this is actually one of my WIP Go pulls for this month. So I'm hoping to obviously get this quote here done, and then I would really like to, that shouldn't take me long, it's just pretty much pink there, get the frame done, and potentially start on another quote, but we'll see how far that gets. So that's my first WIP Go pull for the month of January. And if you don't mind, I am going to kind of put stuff away as we go so it doesn't get lost. The next pull is, I'm just looking at the time. The next pull, this is also a WIP Go pull for this month. It's called Pumpkin Colored Autumn, and this is a virtual start, and it is by Owl Work Stitchery. Oh, it just I left my mind. And this is just done on a piece of Charles Craft even weave 28 count. So this is an old piece of fabric that I had. This is a virtual pattern, so I don't have a picture of it, but this is, oh, you can see right through it, but this is as far as I've gotten. It's going to be obviously pumpkin colored, autumn colors. It's this is the vine work, and then there's going to be pumpkins and gourds, and it's going to be fall colors, oranges and yellows and pretty colors along those lines. So that's my next WIP. All right, next, here's so I mentioned that I was doing I was doing flowers each month, and I did mention that I hadn't started January, but just to kind of give you some reference for what those will look like. This is May, I believe, but they're small. They're a smaller size, and they all kind of follow the same pattern. They all have kind of a frame around them, and then the floral inside. So I'll be starting one of these for January, and I can't remember what the carnation. Does that sound right? Might be carnation this month. All right, next one I have is, this is a magazine, Start, and this was a new start, and this is Lovely, Love You to the Moon. I have one granddaughter who is a little over a year old, and I have a grandson on the way. He will be here in about a month and a half, so I thought this would be a nice little stitch for their rooms that my daughter could give to them, or it could be from me, because I love them to the moon and back as well. And this, you can see it's not much of a start, but it's a little bit of a start. Her little nose here, and here's where the heart's going to be. So this one I may keep out and kind of work on more after this month, so that it can be here when my new little grandson comes in February. All right, next I have, this is a lavender and lace. This is Angel of Love, and it is being stitched on 28 count sterling Lugana, and I believe there's a picture of it. And this, let me take it out of this. This is what it will look like when it is finished. I think this has been stitched by quite a few people in the past, and my mom was a nurse, and a very, very good and dedicated nurse, and I'm stitching this for her, or in recognition of all she has done. And I have gotten some done, gotten her kind of cape done to the bottom. So I've gotten to the bottom, and I've started up on her wing, her angel wing. So for this month, I'm going to be focusing on doing her wing. I tend, when I have a pattern that has a lot of colors in it, I'll pull kind of an area that I want to stitch in. So I pulled all the colors for that wing. And I don't bead as I go with these, so I don't pull any of the beads. So that will be done at the end. All right, next we have, this is a La Di Da pattern, and it is Mockingbird. One of my favorite songs that we used to sing with the kids when they were little. My husband is very musical, and we used to sing Mockingbird. I don't know if anybody knows, there's a version of it with James Taylor and Carly Simon. That was one of our all-time favorite. We'd play it in the car, and we'd all kind of rock out to it. But this kind of really reminded me of that, and thought it would be appropriate for one of the kids or for a grandkid. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's going to buy you a mockingbird. And I think this, I don't have what this was. I think this was a scrap of something I had. And actually, I don't even know which way it goes. I think it goes this way. Well, it doesn't matter. It's just a square. It's just a rectangle. But I got the frame in, and I think this will go really fairly quickly once I get into the heart of the bird and the lettering. So that's a fun one. Looking forward to doing that one this month. All right. Next up, we have, this is a virtual pattern, so I don't have a picture to show you. But it is Autumn Pantry, and it is from, oh, I can't think of who it is. Oh, and this is a new start. Apparently, apparently this must be my This must be my virtual pattern new start. So I don't even have anything to show you. It's just going to be small. It is Brooks Books. That's what it is. Brooks Books. It just popped into my head. It is each, there's a pantry kind of small shelf that has some different items, and she has it for winter, autumn, spring, and summer. So this one will be my autumn pantry. So hopefully that goes quickly. I'm trying to incorporate a few more small things into my WIP pile, because most of the stuff I have is pretty large. So having a few small things is always a nice kind of reprieve, I guess. Makes me feel like I might be able to finish it in some world. This is my new kit start for the month. This is called Shell Collection, and it is by Dimensions. So it's still in its packaging. I haven't even taken it out or sorted it or anything. So this will be a new start for the month of January. And you can see by the price, this I've probably had this for 10, 15, 20 years. Who knows how many years, but I've had it for quite some time. So I'm glad it's going to get its start. My next WIP is also a kit. This was actually part of my temperature stitching last year. This is called Wonderful Tonight, and it is a, I don't know who the maker of this is. Is it Dimensions? I don't know. But I just loved this dress. I don't know why. I thought it was very cool. And it actually comes with some beads and a beading needle. So that will be good. And I'm getting there slowly but surely. It's a lot of red. And the pattern itself is very small, and a lot of similar symbols. So it kind of takes its toll on my eyes when I'm doing it. So that's why it was nice for temperature stitching last year, because it was in small spurts, like 100 or 200 stitches at a time, which kind of helped. And when I started last year, I think I probably only had about that much done. So I did get, I got a good chunk of it done. And I will say, if I'm being honest, my temperature stitching kind of fell off at the end of last year. My husband and I went to Ireland and the UK for a couple of weeks in May, and it was hard to get back on the wagon after that. So while I did my best, I wasn't as dedicated to it as I probably could have been or should have been. This is a WIP that is called Tall Birds, and I don't think I have a picture of it. Oh, maybe I can show you this because this is in the pattern. So this is a Doreen Jones, and it's just black and white. This is not the pattern. This is just how she has it set up. But there's 3 different motifs, different birds, and I have, this one's almost done. I have 2 of the 3 done, and the third one is well on its way. So we're getting there. And I set it up a little bit different. I set it up vertically instead of kind of in the, 2 and 1 on the bottom. So this is what I'll be working on this month. Hopefully I'll make some good progress. And I like this one because it is kind of nice and blocky, and I like the fabric. I can see the fabric in it, and I love the colors. I love the bright colors, and it just makes for an easy and fun stitch. So I think, hoping I'll get some good progress on this. And once I finish my WIP parade, what I'd like to do is try to come monthly, every other week. We'll see how it goes and kind of show you progress on what I did each month. This is a virtual pattern, so I don't have the picture, but it's called Moroccan Lanterns. My husband and I traveled to Spain a couple of years ago when my daughter was doing a study abroad in Granada there, and there was very much a Northern African influence in Granada for anybody who's been, and so I really liked the motifs and the design. So this is, and it's going to be tight on the bottom. It's going to be very tight on the bottom. But I don't know what I was thinking when I pulled this fabric, but we'll make it work. If I have to sew some extra on the bottom, I will, to get it over into a frame. But there are the colors in this are going to be beautiful. There's greens and the yellows and all of the lanterns. There's probably, if I can think, maybe 6 or 7 more lanterns to go. So yeah, I like this one a lot too. I think this one's going to be really pretty and brings about good memories of our trip over to Spain and Portugal. All right, now what I'm going to get into is I'm going to show you my temperature stitching. So what comes after this is is going to be consistent throughout the year unless something gets finished, or unless I get really tired of doing something, then I'll switch it out. But this is going to be my temperature stitching for the year. The first is Dimensions Gold. It is poinsettia, not sure. Hang on one second, I need to cough. I'll be right back. All right, and this is a pretty sorry start. I don't even know which direction it goes. It's either this way or this way. I think this was a new start last year. So you can see what I say. Even though I have 3 new starts each month, sometimes this is as much as it gets. But it's a temperature stitch this year, so hopefully that means that we'll get some work done on it and maybe even get it finished. We'll see. Would be nice to see it get done. It's not super big, so that's another one of those little ones that gives me some hope sometimes. All right, this is an old kit called Friendship Teapots. This one, I love this one, but oh my goodness, look at that back stitch. Sometimes I don't know what I was thinking when I bought things. I think I bought things sometimes before I had any idea what I was doing or knew what I was getting myself into. This is kind of my starting point on this one. So we'll see what the year brings, and hopefully it brings me a little bit closer to done. But oof, there's a lot of back stitch in that one. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Next WIP is, this is, oh gosh, this was started many years ago, probably 11 years ago or so. It's called Victorian Charm. I've seen many others stitch this one as well. So it is, it's an oldie but a goodie. And again, you know, with any of these dimensions, the back stitch is what kills me. But it really is super pretty, and I know you can see right through it now, but if you couldn't see through it, the colors are fabulous. The colors are stunning. And where that back stitch goes, boy, it really does make things pop. So it is stunning, but it's a lot of work. And so 100 stitches at a time, maybe that's the way to go. We'll see. We shall see. All right, a few more to go. All right, this is, these are Christmas jar ornaments. These are done on perforated plastic. Also dimensions. I love these. I think they're really cute. And I have that much done of one. So I'd like to get at least one completed. Would be nice to have one done at the end of the year. I think I can. That one's almost, well, I wouldn't say almost. It seems like it's almost, but we all know what almost means in the cross stitch world. But it's getting there. It's getting there. All right. This WIP is called Blue Delft. Super old, Design Works. Okay, sorry about that. Had a little bit of a cough. And this is what it's going to look like when it's done. And here is how far I've gotten on this one. So this one I've gotten the frame done. And I have started working on kind of some of the squares. So this is a long, kind of skinny one. But it'll get some good love. It'll get some good. And the nice one thing about this is it's all blue. So even though there's, you know, more than one blues, it's kind of a nice, easy way to go. All right. All right. one of my temperature stitching is a Bucilla kit, and it is called Butterflies. And this doesn't have too much in it either. This was a new start last year. So this is how I believe this is the direction it goes, but there's some green. No, this is black. There's some black for you. A nice black blob. But you got to start somewhere, I guess, right? So it's a start, and hopefully we'll see some of that color brought in soon. All right, just 4 more to go. I have one hiding down here. This is a Dimensions Gold, and it is Winter Cabin. I think this one's pretty popular. I've seen this one quite a few times. And again, there's not much to see on some of these, so I apologize. I have some blue. So there you go. That's blue. Again, I feel like I can say the same thing for all of these. Hopefully we'll see some progress on it. This here being in temperature. Oh, this doesn't want to go in. There we go. All right. Next one is Balloon Glow. This is also a Dimensions Gold. Or just a, yep, Dimensions Gold. So I just love that. I love the colors in it. The sunset or sunrise, probably sunrise, right? And this one has a little bit of work done on it. So got a little bit done. Lot to go. All right, next to last one is Cafe in the Sun. This was a Design Works. Just reminds me a little bit of my husband and I's European adventures. And I don't think I have much done on this. No, more black for you. For some reason, I seem to start with black, and I don't even know which direction it goes. I think it goes like this. Black. Black, black. Not much. We'll see some of that color come in soon. When I'm doing 100 stitch blocks, it's kind of, I try to pick a block that has one color in it. It just makes it easier for counting if it's not in Pattern Keeper. All right, my last one for this video is Glory in Autumn. Oh, it just reminds me of home. We used to grow up, we had a apple cider mill, and it looks very similar. We didn't have it. It was in the town next to us, and you could go and get fresh apples and fresh apple cider donuts, but it had a wheel, and it was this color, and this just reminds me of me growing up, and it's very nostalgic. And this one, actually, I had to restart it because when I initially started it many years ago, I started in the wrong place, and I wasn't going to have enough fabric, so I pulled it all, and I may not have enough color, but I'll pull from my stash if I need to. But I've gotten some work done on this, so I've seen this done. I've seen this hanging up in people's videos, and it's just beautiful, and it just reminds me of home. So with that, I'm going to end today's video. I will be back with the rest of my stash. Get ready, it's a lot. So thank you all again for visiting. I hope you come back, and I'm looking forward to our time together. All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.